heat waves in the UK hit differently. If you know, you know. Hi everyone, it's Tash and welcome to another recipe video. And today, to beat the heat, we are making cendol, which is one of my favourite Malaysian desserts ever. Cendol can be two things. It's the actual little green jellies and the dessert that's made with the green jellies, which is a shaved ice dessert. And the main ingredient of cendol is hong kui flour, also known as green bean, green pea and mung bean flour. You can usually find it in tubes like this. This is a plastic tube, sometimes it's in a paper tube, and sometimes you can find it in big bags as well, but usually it's in a tube. I was planning on baking something in the oven today, but with temperatures reaching over 30 degrees in London, there is no way that's going to happen. I wasn't joking, by the way, when I said that heat waves in the UK hit differently. I'm not kidding. If you've ever been here during a heat wave, you'll know. Go to Spain, go to France, it's 30 degrees, absolutely beautiful, lovely warm weather, you're basking in the sun, nice. Come to the UK and it's 30 degrees, your clothes are sticking to you, you feel like it's suffocating, it's utter hell. I think it's because of the extreme humidity we have here. It makes the heat so oppressive, it's a completely different feeling. You'll know what I'm talking about over here. Also, air conditioning isn't really a thing in the UK because we only get days like this about 5 days a year, so it's not really worth it. But phew, we do miss that air conditioning whenever it happens. Ironically, the skies are totally black at the moment because we had a few days of perfectly beautiful sun and oppressive heat, so I think a thunderstorm is coming, but it's still really hot, so it's definitely time for a shaved ice dessert and I'm definitely not touching that oven. Anyway, back to cendol. We serve those little cendol jellies themselves with lots of shaved ice, plenty of thick and creamy coconut milk, and gula melaka syrup. Remember, gula melaka is palm sugar, which I've actually used it in a previous recipe a couple of times. And you can either buy a pre-made syrup. Here is an example I have here. This one I quite like to use for coffees because it's quite a thinner one. Or my preferred way for cendol is making it from scratch. And here I have an actual solid block of gula melaka sugar. I prefer making it from scratch because then you can make a really thick, rich syrup, which is perfect for cendol. I think the pre-made one's a little bit too thin, but it's down to your timing and your preference really. They both taste more or less the same. Also, for a really good cendol, you serve it with sweet red kidney beans or sweet red beans. I do not have time to soak beans overnight and then boil them in sugar, so I'm actually going to cheat and use canned beans, so I will show you how to prepare those too. Anyway, let's go to the kitchen and see how it's done. Let's start by making a gula melaka syrup. This is about 250 grams of gula melaka. Actually, this block I already weighed, it's 245, but close enough. So let's say 250 grams of gula melaka-ish. And then I'm going to chop this up. It's a bit easier if you have a microwave because you can actually pop this in the microwave just for a couple of seconds on a medium setting and it will actually soften up and become easier to chop. I don't have a microwave, and even though I could also put this in the oven on a low heat, I'm kind of lazy, so I'm just going to chop this up now. Phew, that took me about 10 minutes. That was quite an old block of sugar, so it was quite dry and difficult to chop. If you find that, then go slowly, be careful, do not cut your hands. If you do have a microwave, like I said, pop it in for a couple of seconds so it softens. Not on too high though, because you don't want to burn your hands. But yes, this is what the chopped gula melaka looks like. Now let's turn this into syrup. So, on this side, I have my gula melaka in my little saucepan, and to that I'm going to add 200 millilitres of water. Usually I add equal quantities when I'm making a syrup because I want this extra thick. I do have a little more in the way of sugar. So I'm going to bring this to the boil on this side, and once it comes to the boil, we're going to let it boil for 3 minutes. Now, because I like to multitask and we do need two things to cool down, I'm actually going to make the beans on this side. So we actually need to make a second syrup. This is just a regular sugar syrup. This is 100 grams of caster sugar. And I'm adding 100 millilitres of water to this, so I am making just a simple equal part syrup. Give it a bit of a swirl. And exactly the same for this, I'm going to bring it to the boil and then let it boil for 3 minutes. Now it's been 3 minutes. I'm going to switch this one off, take it off the heat and let it cool down, and I'm actually going to put this in an ice bath to make it cool faster. So I basically just put a bunch of cold water and ice in the sink, and I'm going to sit this on top, but make sure nothing gets inside it. Now on this side I'm going to pop some canned kidney beans in there. So these are cooked and they're just in water. Make sure you don't use kidney beans in brine or worse in tomato sauce, because this is going to be corrosive, so just make sure they're ordinary kidney beans in water. And we're just going to cook this for another 3 minutes. So bring it to the boil first, like last time, and then once it's come back to the boil, wait another 3 minutes. That's it, our 3 minutes are up. So I'm going to take this off the heat and let the beans cool down in the syrup. And I'm actually going to put this in the ice bath as well, just to help them cool down a bit faster. Again, don't let any water get inside it if you put it in ice. But you can also let it cool down naturally. It will take a couple of hours though. Now we're going to make the actual Cendol jellies. So for that, we're going to need 5 tablespoons of that Hongkui flour, that's the green pea flour, 2 tablespoonfuls of rice flour, and this isn't glutinous rice flour by the way, this is just normal rice flour, and 2 tablespoonfuls of tapioca flour, and this is what's going to give them the bounce. To that we're going to gradually add, how much? 625 millilitres of water. Nearly forgot. Just add it slowly so there aren't any lumps. Now that we've half added the water, I'm actually also going to add a teaspoonful of pandan paste. This is going to both flavour those Cendol jellies and colour them a fantastic green colour too. And now we're ready to cook this. So I'm bringing this back to a hob. We're going to turn the heat on to a medium heat, and we're going to bring this to a very light simmer and keep stirring until it forms a thick translucent paste. And this is going to be a trust the process type process, because it is going to start looking a bit lumpy and ugly about halfway through, but keep stirring, it will smooth out, don't worry. Okay, and that is done, and you'll know that it's done because it's slightly translucent. You can almost see through that spoon there. So if it's completely see-through still, that means the flours haven't quite cooked properly yet. But once it does go translucent, your jelly is ready to set. So I'm going to take this off the heat now. Now here's where things get really interesting. I've got an ice bath here. I've got a potato ricer, which is one of these things used to mash potato. But you can use a slotted spoon with holes in. And I'm going to put the jelly batter in here and squeeze it into the ice bath. And that is going to set our jellies in that noodle shape. So I've got to work quite quickly, let's go. Take some of our jelly mixture. This is super messy by the way. And we're going to squeeze it straight in. Like that. It looks like a mess, but again, trust the process. Let's do that again. I couldn't resist doing a slow-mo video. It looks absolutely alien. I love it. And because the water is so cold thanks to that ice, that jelly pretty much scents instantly as soon as it touches that cold water. So it's a pretty fast process. Just a little bit messy when it comes to loading up your contraption with the jelly paste. And that is essentially your Cendol jellies done. I could watch this all day, look at how mesmerising it is. And the strands do separate out nicely once they hit the water. I'm going to put this in a little container, complete with the water as well, to help the Cendol keep separated. And it can last for a couple of days in the fridge, so you don't feel like you have to eat this whole thing right now. Now we're ready to shave some ice. I don't have an ice shaver, but I do have a pretty good blender. Put this on and put it in ice crush mode. Nice fluffy snow. Ugh. I'm just going to put this in a bowl. Now working quite quickly, we're going to put our cendol on top. Whoops, make sure it doesn't spill out. Some of those beans. Oh, I'm not doing well at all, am I? Now plenty of coconut milk. Let it soak in. And of course your lovely rich gula melaka syrup. As much as you can fit in that bowl. And I've put quite a lot of ice in my bowl. Dare I say too much? Nah, never too much. That was definitely overkill, but we like overkill on this channel. I may have overdone it. Having said that, it is a very hot day, so a lot of shaved ice is always very welcome on that kind of day. And I am going to share this with Mr. Tash Cakes too, so it's not that bad, right? Anyway, let's try some. Get a little bit of everything on the spoon. Bit of syrup, a bean, just a single bean, and some cendol, and some ice. Cheers! That is so refreshing. I don't know if you can see that the cendol is shaking because this is quite heavy and my arm is shaking, so yeah, I should be careful with that. This is like the perfect summer dessert. They've got the creaminess from the coconut milk and the rich sweetness from the gula melaka syrup, starchiness from the beans, and the really nice jelly texture from those pandan jellies too. Delicious. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video and I hope you will join me next Wednesday for my next one. Get the full recipe on my blog tashcakes.com and find me on Instagram. I am tashcakestastes. Remember to subscribe if you'd like to see more and hit that notification bell too. Give this video a like if you liked it to help other people find it. Comment down below if you'd like me to make anything in particular, and I'll see you guys next time. Be good, be nice, and have a good week.